Okay, let's make a quick ebook. We have a document that measures 600 by 800 pixels. And let's go up here to the Pages panel. We see that we've got 10 pages, and some of them are blank, which is okay, because the blank pages will not be recognized when we export this as an EPUB. Let's go to the Layers panel, and we have one layer, which is okay for an EPUB. In the Links panel, we see that we've got a bunch of images that have been imported and they are embedded. Let's go to the Swatches panel. And in the Swatches panel, we see we've got a couple custom colors, and these colors are used for the subheads. And when we look in the Paragraph Styles panel, we see that we've got some custom paragraph styles. So we've got body copy, small subhead, and large subhead. And paragraph styles are very important when exporting as an EPUB. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make a front cover for our book. Right now we have an image in the background and we have a text frame on top of it. Now these are going to be recognized as two separate objects when we export as an EPUB. So what we need is one single image for our front cover. And so what we'll do is we'll go into the File menu to Export. So we'll go into the File menu to Export. When we get the Export as JPEG dialog box here, we're just going to choose page 1 for the range because we just want the page 1 exported as a JPEG, and we can leave that resolution at 300 pixels per inch. So let's go ahead and export. And while we're making a JPEG for the front cover, let's go ahead and delete what's on there now. And we'll go ahead and put a new graphic frame on page 1. And then we'll go under the File menu to Place. Go into the File menu to Place. And we'll look for that JPEG that we just created and import it into that graphic frame. Good. So now we have a single image for the front cover of our ebook. And let's go down to page 2. Here we see on page 2 that the type has already been styled. If I select the body copy here and go to the Paragraph Styles panel, we can see that that's been styled as body copy. And if I highlight part of the large subhead here, we see that's been styled as a large subhead. And for the small subheads, we see the small subhead style has been applied. So I've done this all ahead of time here. All the body copy and large and small headlines have been styled. So that's good. Now also what I've done is I've left an extra return here in the middle of the first part of this article. And the extra return is where we're going to place our images. So for an ebook, in order to have the images in the right order, we need to anchor them in the text. And the way we're going to anchor them is to use the little blue box that shows up on the top of the graphic frame. So there's a little tiny blue box there on top of this graphic, on top of the graphic frame. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab that little blue box and move it in front of that extra paragraph return. So now you can see with the dashed line there that the image has been threaded or anchored into the text. So now that image is anchored right in front of that little extra return that we made. And we can leave the image right on the pasteboard where it is, because when we export this as an EPUB, that image will be anchored in the text. So we don't really have to change where it is in the InDesign document. We just need to make sure that they're anchored. So I'm going to go down to the next page here, and we're going to go ahead and anchor another image. So I'll select that one, and once again we see we've got that little blue box on the top there, and I'm just going to drag that little tiny blue box in front of the extra paragraph return. And you can see once I've done that, now there's a little anchor on top of the graphic frame instead of that little blue box. So now that is anchored in the text, and that's where it'll show up in the ebook. We'll go down to the next one here and go ahead and anchor this one, drag the little blue box in front of that extra return that I made, that extra paragraph return. Okay, so that one's anchored in there. And now we're going to go ahead and anchor this one. We'll drag that little blue box in front of the extra return, and that's where that image will show up. And then we've got this one here, and we'll do the same thing and drag that little blue box in front of the extra paragraph return, and now that image is anchored. I've made the images fairly small, and they are now all anchored in the text. The next step will be to make a table of contents and add some metadata, and we'll do that in the next video.